Resident Evil 2 and 3 are, without a doubt, the top 5, or at least within the top 5 of the horror games that I've played. They are both really, really good. And they originally came out on the PlayStation with the first Resident Evil, and they were both vastly superior in almost every single way. Mechanic, story, characters, games, anything, you name it, it's probably better. Resident Evil 2 came out January 22nd of 1998. And Resident Evil 3 came out September 22nd of 1999. Both of them had their own remakes, not similar to the Resident Evil 1, which is more of just a remaster. Like each Resident Evil 2 and 3 had remade like from the ground up. And Resident Evil 2, that one was great, obviously, as everyone has raved about already. While Resident Evil 3 was lackluster and something that I'll get to later. Each game has their own unique style that prevents it from just being just a carbon copy or just a retexture of the first game. The story for the Resident Evil 2 is similar to the Resident Evil 1, where it follows two separate characters, but this time Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield instead of Chris and Jill. And yes, Claire and Chris are related, they're brothers and sisters. This game instead follows an A and B campaign scenario, where one character could have two separate campaigns, campaign A or B, for example. And each one of these campaigns has their own unique situations, areas, and characters. So in total, there's 4 campaigns that one could go through in this game. This game has extras that I've never seen before, rivaled by only Spider-Man games. They have costumes, extra modes, and guns. Some of these extra modes I said are the 4th Survivor with the mercenary, and Tofu Man, who is just tofu, and you have to do some really ridiculous stuff in order to unlock these. The voice acting in this game is better, not current Resident Evil voice quality, but still much better compared to the laughably bad of the first game.
The ultimate life form, Tyrant. Chris? Stop it.
Point back, the overall structure and the story beats are the same throughout each of the 4 campaigns. Similar to the first one, Leon and Claire get split up the car wreck when trying to get to the Raccoon Police Department, and they have their own companions, and each of them will eventually just go to the underground lab that was run by Umbrella. Both of them end up killing William, and then the game is essentially over. Like, that's like the final boss. But this time the side characters are actually, have a purpose instead of just babbling on in between cutscenes. Like, they are actually helpful when it comes to gameplay. And even though I said that they technically help out, they don't really do much other than just kind of follow you around. But it is better to have some company, better than no company in my opinion. But unfortunately, this company is surrounded by more tank controls, yay! But however, unlike in Resident Evil 1, this is a lot more fluid, and primarily due to the fact that the areas around aren't as cramped and conformed as the mansion was, so that makes it easier to traverse and not a pain in the ass. And there are plenty of guns like the first game, and they're selected to each character, and Leon and Claire have at least 3 weapons each. Claire has the bow gun, Colt revolver, grenade launcher, and a spark shot, while Leon has a customizable Matilda, a Magnum, like a Deagle, and a shotgun, and a flamethrower. It's slightly, and I mean like a little bit slightly, easier than the first game, mainly since the enemies die out faster, and there's enough ammo, healing and ammo, but this isn't as unforgiving with all the materials and stuff as the first game. Claire and Leon have their own villains or arch nemesises in this game. Mr. X for Leon, and William Baker follows Claire around. And to anybody that knows anything about Resident Evil knows that Mr. X is without a doubt the better villain in any way, shape, or form. He is scarier in tension and just design. Like, anybody could just know that when you enter a room with him, the best option is just literally leave. There's no point in saying. Makes anybody will say, yeah, fuck no, and get out of there. The bosses in this game are better to a point where it's not even a discussion. The bosses mainly are with Baker, who mutates to like 4 different forms, but Mr. X has his own boss fight, which, you know, I think is the best boss fight I've ever had, but that's mainly the remake version, not the original version that came out in 1998. But overall, the game is a greater experience than Resident Evil 1. Everything, right down to a simple mechanic, is better and just makes the game a more enjoyable experience. While only being the second game, it still shows how much promise the series has. I'm going to give this game a 9 out of 10. There are very minor issues with this game, like the train controls, for example, and the lack of third person, because I'm not really a big fan of the fixed camera, but everything around it is just tremendous in a way that I can't really describe. And luckily, this isn't where it ends for the PlayStation 1. We still have Resident Evil 3, which comes out only a year and a half after the second one did, I mean. So if you enjoyed this video, have a good day.